video's good to go? Very good. Okay. We'll go ahead.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Vicksburg's Planning Commission February 2024 edition. I'm going to call this meeting to order. It is 7 o'clock exactly, and I'm going to turn it over to Secretary Cox to take attendance, please.
All right. Matt Schenkel.
Present.
Bill Cox, present. John DeBolt. Here. Colin Bailey. Here. Zach Bishop.
Present.
Wendy Fellis.
Here.
Nick Yashi. Don Mortella. And Rachel Plankenhorn.
All right, thank you. We have the agenda in front of us. I assume everyone has had time to review that. Assuming no changes from staff, I will call for a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
So moved.
Motion from Mr. Bailey. Do we have support?
Second.
Second, and I'm sorry, I don't know your name yet.
Wendy Fields.
Wendy, nice to meet you. I'm Matt. We'll connect.
Yes.
All right, support from Fields. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Thank you. We did not have a January meeting, but we did have a December meeting. So assuming that everyone has had time to review the minutes from that meeting, I will call for a motion to approve the December meeting minutes.
I would like to add something to the agenda, and
No.
that is actually to swear in Trustee Fields for being assigned to the membership
Okay.
of the Planning Commission.
So we probably need to redo the vote on the agenda, don't we?
You still have a majority vote if we just have her listed as present.
Okay. Where would you like to put that in?
Right now.
Right now. Like it. All right.
I'm gonna wing it. I don't have anything in front of me. Raise your right. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
to uphold the Constitution
to uphold the Constitution
of the United States,
of the United States,
of this state,
of this state,
and the village of Vicksburg,
and the village of Vicksburg,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome. All right. Now we are going to move on to the approval of the minutes from the December meeting. Call for a motion to approve those minutes.
This is Member Bishop. Make a motion to approve the minutes from the December meeting.
Motion from Bishop, support.
Member Cox, I support.
Cox, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Thank you. At this time, we're going to open it up for citizen comments. If we do have anyone from the audience that would like to come forward, you can do so at the desk right here. The time is limited to 3 minutes, and before you begin, please state your name and address. And we'll give anyone that would like to a few seconds to make a move from the audience, otherwise we'll move forward. Seeing no bodies moving forward, we're going to move forward. All right, the next item on our agenda is a summary presentation on a site plan that we have before us, the gym at 402 West Prairie Street. So, Mr. Mucha?
No.
No. All right, I'm going to kick it over to staff here for their next steps.
Okay, appreciate that, Mr. Schenkel. What we have in front of the Planning Commission tonight is a site plan for the gym at 402 Prairie Street. To recall, we did have a conversation about this at our December Planning Commission meeting. We have worked, we do have the developer here, Kathleen Wills, as well as Ryan Collins from Frederick's Construction, and I believe in engineering from K-Civil, Dan. And we do appreciate that, and we'll offer you time to, one, make any comments that you wish, or be available to answer questions from the Planning Commission. We have worked behind the scenes, and we do have Kyle Mucha from McKenna and Associates, who's our zoning and planning administrators, and Kyle will come up to present. But I have also provided the Planning Commission with emails from our engineering firm, Prine Newhoff, who has worked with the developer and the developer's representatives, reference what we want to see in the site plan. All of those conditions have been met. I will let the Planning Commission know that those conversations took place about January 25th, and had complete confidence in the developer's rep to provide those. Since we received them this morning, when Mr. Mucha makes his presentation, you'll see within the documentation that was sent in your packet on Friday that staff is recommending approval of the site plan with specific conditions for administrative oversight to ensure they're incorporated. I will give the engineering group and McKenna, but I'm confident that those conditions have been met in what we received today. But that is why the recommendation, we're going to stick with the recommendation that we offered on Friday that we sent to Planning Commission members in the packet.
Can you repeat the tail end of that, the conditions? And
We'll go in detail on all the specific conditions, and then the motion will articulate those conditions as well.
Okay, all right, thank you.
With that, I will turn it over to Kyle, and it'd probably be best right here at the podium.
Well, good evening, everyone. As Mr. Mallory has indicated, staff has reviewed the site plan for 402 West Prairie Street, as we refer to within the application here.
If I can, Kyle, just so they are on the screens, but also Planning Commission members have what is shown on the screens in front of you updated if need be, but go ahead, Kyle.
Sure. So we may use the term the gym interchangeably here as we talk about 402 West Prairie. We may refer to it as the site conditions or the parcel itself. So there are some interchangeable terms as you go through our report here that I just wanted to call to your attention in case you get confused by the different titles. But again, the title for this project is The Gym at 402 West Prairie Street. We have reviewed the proposal through the zoning ordinance. So the use of the property is currently C2, which does permit indoor recreational components as a permitted use. Our understanding some time ago with the applicant is they were looking at doing a yoga studio, potentially a bar, was listed on the site plans. That has been amended to just indicate like a water service area, which you'll see in our report indicates that special land uses were required. That since has changed in our discussions with the applicant. They're not doing a bar inside this gym to our knowledge, so therefore no special land use is required. It's just a strict straight across to site plan review before the Planning Commission. Site plan reviews under section 475-31 of the Village of Vicksburg zoning ordinance are required for office, commercial, or industrial buildings with a total floor area greater than 1,500 square feet, which this building is, which again is why it comes before the Planning Commission. There is schedule of regulations as well that we look at based on the C2 district. It is our understanding, after talking with the engineering firm and company, that the applicant is not proposing any additional increase in square footage of the building itself, but intends to reutilize the existing footprint as is. So you'll see in our report that some of the conditions may or may not look to meet current regulations. However, because the building is in existence, we found that the schedule of regulations as it pertains to setback requirements from the property boundaries have been met. Off-street parking requirements for the office component of this site require one space for every 200 square feet of floor area, which based on our calculations with the engineering firm is 6 spaces required. And then our next closest definition for this would be assembly, which requires 1 space for every 100 square feet of floor area to be utilized as assembly space, which then, based on the 2 components of the gym expansion, would require a total of 74 parking spaces, so 80 total for the entire project. Screening requirements are also applicable to this case under section 475-120A. Every commercial or industrial use occupying land immediately adjacent to a residence or residential district shall have screening area visually separating the commercial or industrial use from the adjoining resident or residential district. We noted with the engineering firm that they do plan on doing a vegetative screening along the northern boundary, which is right against Sunset Lake Elementary, and then to install an 8-foot tall privacy fence along the west, south, and southwest portions of the remainder of the site, which would then meet current code. Stormwater management, as Mr. Mallory has indicated, has been reviewed by Prine and Newhoff and is handling through them. Site access for this property is going to be maintained off of the existing driveway accesses that are there. Our understanding through the review phase is that they will be tore up and reconstructed entirely. We did note during our review that there is a separate parcel to the west of the subject site itself that is what we consider landlocked, but is part of the project. So you'll notice that in our conditions, we are recommending that the applicant combine that standalone landlocked parcel with the site itself and make it one entire contiguous parcel. There are approval criteria that are required within the Vicksburg zoning ordinance that talks about the proposed use being compatible, if there's a proper relationship between major thoroughfares, any possible adverse effects resulting from locations of the buildings, proper development of roads, easements, and public utilities, development proposed in the site plan is harmonious with and not harmful or injurious to existing planned future uses, exterior lighting proposed in the site complies with applicable village regulations, and then signage proposed for the site. It's also reviewed. Number and dimensions of off-street parking is also a site plan review criteria, and then the proposed project and structure itself and all proposed uses of the establishment must comply with all regulations. So throughout our review of the site plan review criteria, the only consideration we noted was some lighting concerns. However, that can be modified and addressed through further review with the applicant and their engineering team. So in conclusion, McKenna finds that based on the site plan dated January 12th, 2024, we offer a positive recommendation to the Planning Commission for approval, subject to the following conditions. We would like to amend this to read under administrative review and approval for these following conditions. 1, landscaping plan is resubmitted for administrative review. That meets all intents of the ordinance. The landscaping along the northern boundary is fully located upon the subject property itself and not placed on the school property. A copy of the land combination application and execution is provided to village staff for records. Site lighting is modified to reduce light trespass onto the western adjacent residential use property, which is 414 West Prairie Street. And then number 5, the proposed parking plan of 56 spaces in phase 1 and 25 spaces in phase 2 is accepted. Mr. Mallory, was there anything else that we needed to address in our review, sir?
No, sir. I'd open it up if the Planning Commission has questions.
Kyle, maybe just more of an observation more than a question. The number of parking spots feels pretty heavy. It looks heavy. So
That is,
can you go back to the ratio for me?
so that is, as of our current ordinance that is on the books, 1 space for every 200 square feet of floor area considered for office use, which would require them 6 based on their floor plans. And then because the next closest item we have in our parking calculations is assembly, so such as a church, place like this, they are assembly, it requires 1 space for each 100 square feet of floor area, which based on their calculations provided to us would equal 74 spaces. So a total of 80 spaces for this site. Now you'll notice though, Mr. Schenkel, on our review as well, because we understand that 80 spaces could be a significant undertaking initially, we are recommending that Planning Commission approve the site plan based on a phased parking as well, which would then indicate from the engineering company, our their side of the team, that they're willing to put in 56 spaces in phase 1, and then once they get to the phase 2 of the building, then they would install the remainder.
One of the additional comments would be that we have asked McKenna and Associates, starting with downtown, we've talked and actually within the last, I'll say 24 to 36 months, put on a presentation for the Planning Commission, reference trends in parking at municipalities that I would say are in the 20th century. Our parking ordinance are dated back to the 1960s. So we have asked McKenna to do an analysis of communities within a geographical area that makes sense here in the state of Michigan to come up with ideas that will lead us to recommending, as we've done recently with the industrial zoning text amendments specific to parking. So I anticipate that presentation coming probably in May or June to the Planning Commission and ultimately on to the council.
So that's pretty soon. I would assume that phase 1 of this would be commensurate with what you probably find be an average of the 21st century parking standards. Is that an accurate statement?
No, Mr. Schenkel, so based on where the applicant, and I'll defer a little bit to their engineering firm as well, based on their request to get site plan approval, we have to go by what our current ordinance states.
Yeah, I get that.
So if they are seeking, and Mr. Mallory, help me out here, I don't want to
Well, I'll
overspeak.
go ahead and say it. I offer that, but what's going to be proposed in May or June is not connected specifically to this project or any other project. It is, again, to put the village in a position of, just as comments have here led to believe, back in the day, these ordinances created a sea of asphalt, and now that we're in a era that might not need that, and we always give the example of, you think of all the asphalt surrounding the mall, that at the height of the mall, the only time that asphalt was completely used was during Christmas season. So looking for what is best practice examples to bring back, but I don't want to lead the Planning Commission or this developer to believe that that deeper dive into our parking ordinance is in any way tied to this project. I do anticipate that there could be a benefit, as I don't see us adding additional parking spots to square footage.
Yeah.
But we'll wait until that research is presented with the data we have.
On top of that, parking is a considerable cost to consider. So I think that's just kind of my thought process. But it's good to hear that aside from this project, the village is looking at that. I'm curious on the timing. I don't know if Kathleen, you maybe want to, what are the timing of the phases?
Well, so
Well, because we're streaming this meeting and archive it, thank you.
So, I appreciate the conversation about the parking because it is very it's way more expensive than I would have ever imagined having to retain the stormwater on site. And then also, we know that our two local Edward Jones advisors, Jill Walsh and Matt Bolton, have decided to shut down the gym in May, which is gonna completely destroy this project for me. If that actually happens, I'm like in a last push right now to get them to reconsider because the community, the seniors, the youth, the parents, the people who need it for mental health really want this gym and they want this new facility. And so we're in a push right now to get Jill and Matt to reconsider closing down a disabled vet's business so that they can expand their own. We're working on that. So the timeline right now is my next milestone is to get them to let me remain in business. I've looked everywhere in the village. There's no suitable place that I can afford that has parking, that has showers. If I'm going outside of the village, then I'm not taking care of my members, and that's my number one goal, is to make sure that the village and my members have a local place for community and health and connection. I'm not really interested in opening a gym in Battle Creek or in Three Rivers. So that's my milestone.
Yeah, my question is just timing of phase 1 and phase 2. Do you have that yet, or no?
No.
Okay.
But phase 2 will be a while, right?
Phase 2 will be,
The undertaking of phase 1 is as soon as possible. And
Okay.
that cost-wise is enough to, it'll be quite a while before phase
Yeah.
2.
Okay, thank you.
if I can stay in business, then yeah, the phase 1 is the parking lot, which is almost $700,000, which I was not prepared for, and thank you, Biden, for the interest rates. There's a lot of problems there, but I just need to kind of survive to put the footprint I'm in right now into those back bays with the parking lot. That's my goal. And I wish I had more to say on the timeline.
Anything else from you, Kyle? Any further questions from the commission?
If I can, Mr. Schenkel, I'll just clarify that, again, staff is recommending a positive recommendation for approval, but it's subject to the following conditions. Subject 1 is a landscaping plan is resubmitted for administrative review that provides greater detail on the proposed northern screening along the Sunset Lake Elementary School boundary. Number 2, the landscaping along the northern boundary is fully located upon the subject property and not placed on adjacent property. A copy of the land combination application and execution is provided for village staff records regarding the 2 subject parcels, combining those parcels into 1. Site lighting is modified to reduce light trespass on the western adjacent residential use property, 414 West Prairie Street, or the southern pole light is removed and additional wall lighting installed. The site lighting plan to be modified and resubmitted to the village for administrative review. And the proposed parking plan of 56 spaces in phase 1 and the additional spaces in phase 2 is accepted.
Thank you for that clarification.
Is there any questions for staff? I would propose a motion and support of approval of the site plan submitted based on subject to the 5 conditions that we have listed off.
All right. If there are no further questions or comments for staff, I will call for a motion to approve this site plan review. Yeah.
It's Member Cox. I so motion that we approve the site plan review.
Motion on the floor from Cox. Do we have support?
This is Bishop, I support.
We have a second from Bishop. Do we have any further conversation or comments?
Oh, including the, yeah, we have,
Motion that was made to clarify that
Can I clarify
you're
that
making the
then?
motion
Yeah.
for approval, subject to the
Correct,
5
sorry.
conditions are
That was
met
my
for
fault.
administrative review.
yeah, I want a motion that it includes the 5 items mentioned for.
5 items are listed on page 6 of McKenna's summary memo titled Conclusion.
Correct.
Member Bishop, are you still willing to
Yes.
second that
Member
motion?
Bishop, support.
All right. Any further comments or questions for staff during this time? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote, please, Mr. Cox.
Matt Schenkel,
Yes.
Colin Bailey. Yes. John DeBolt,
Yes.
Wendy Fields,
Yes.
Zach Bishop,
Yes.
and Bill Cox, yes.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, it's approved. Thank you.
All right. Next item on our agenda for this evening is the Downtown Development Authority portion of our meeting. And it looks like the first item on our list is a public improvement grant.
Yes, I am recommending, some of the, and this is going back a fiscal year, the 22-23 fiscal year, we ran into, and developers ran into completing work, so we pushed that forward to the 23-24 fiscal year with the request that the work be completed by December 31st, and we would then get the accompanying invoices that would be paid. Within that, there was a couple grant awards that they did not initiate, much less complete the projects they were awarded, so we had additional funds, and I am recommending that Reed and Associates, their original grant award was 50%, or an amount not to exceed $4,424. The actual final investment that was made totaled just over $20,000, and I am proposing that we increase the amount of the grant award to not exceed $7,500. It's due in part due the additional investment that was made into the building, as well as we have that funding that was intended for public improvement by other developers that did not initiate, though they were awarded the money. So we have it, and we'd like to see it invested. So we're recommending a motion, support, and roll call approval to increase the award amount to $7,500 for that project.
Just so I'm clear on that, what you're saying is that money's in an account that's been unused, and we can have it go to someone that's going to use it.
Yes.
Okay. What is the current maximum amount?
We had, the program had one, maximum was 15,000. We've given out a couple of those. We have $7,500 grant awards, and then below that was 3,000. The total amount of dollars that were committed were $36,000.
Jim, what was their project?
The whole garage in the back was completed, new siding, new windows. They added, they have that walkway between Prairie Street and the alley, improved surface in that alley, and painting.
There are no, go ahead, Colin.
Trustee Bailey, I'll go ahead and make a motion to support the increase the award amount to $7,500.
Motion from member Bailey. You have support for that?
Trustee Fields, I'll support.
Support from Fields. Any further discussion? This is a roll call vote, including funds. So member Cox, go ahead.
Matt Schenkel,
Yes.
Colin Bailey,
Yes.
John DeBolt,
Yes.
Zach Bishop,
Yes.
Wendy Fields,
Yes.
Bill Cox is a yes.
Great. All right, Jim,
I
grant
appreciate
program.
that, yeah. Now that moves us to this fiscal year grant program, and we have received 2 requests under that grant program. I do not feel comfortable that we've done everything we can to notify businesses locally of this opportunity. So what we're proposing is Christian and I are going to hand deliver copies of this application to businesses within the DDA tomorrow and Wednesday. We'll ensure that they physically have been provided with a copy. I will follow that up with an additional email in the application to the businesses and advise them that if they do wish to submit a grant, they'll have to apply and have that application to us no later than March 1st, which should put us in a position to make our recommendations for the 23-24 grant awards on March 11th, with a completion date of the project for December 31st, 2024. Be happy to answer any questions or thoughts on that.
What's been the process in the past for getting this out to businesses?
We go around, we email, we have a distribution list with all the businesses in the DDA district. It's sent to them. It has been done that way. The one thing we've done in the past that I don't believe we did this fiscal year was to physically get to each business to provide this opportunity. I think historically what's occurred multiple times is just like the 22-23 fiscal year, and Mr. DeBalt can help me out, but we award or approve grants, let's say at the 50% amount or whatever award amount, but there's multiple examples of projects never initiated. Therefore, we have funding. So I think on the front end, and staff will review, get our recommendations, and then it's the village president, chairman of the planning commission, village manager, village attorney, and one other, might be the village clerk. But we have it reviewed to ensure it is a public benefit and then present back to the planning commission our recommendations.
If I may, you mentioned the DDA district. What are the boundaries?
The DDA has a tax collection district, which is basically the core downtown. It was expanded in down Prairie Street to Boulevard. I think in 2015, it was actually expanded further than that, then we contracted it back some, and it goes down Richardson Street, pretty much to the village limits, but cuts across Kalamazoo, Washington, back Michigan, and then out Prairie. But I can provide a map of it. The east basically ends here at Richardson Street.
Is that map on the website, Jim?
The map is on the website in 2 different locations.
Since this is a new fiscal year situation, this site plan that we just approved is in the DDA boundaries. Would Kathleen be able to use any of that for that?
She could fill out the grant application and
Because it is within, that building is within the DDA boundaries there, that one parcel right there. And I know the doors and the windows and things like that she's looking at on that first building in her phase one.
I think a lot of that would be tied to the timing of when phase one initiates and is completed, and the payment of that.
Well, again, this project was an incentive to bring businesses to the village, so that would be
The quick answer is
benefit.
absolutely is eligible within. It was not developed or presented as an incentive to bring new business into the village. It was presented existing business and building owners to have an opportunity for a substantial, a higher amount of money than was historically the facade grant program. But it was developed for existing property and business owners.
All right, I think we can move on to the next one.
And I don't know if we need a vote, but is there anyone in opposition for us to go on that timeline? Okay. We do need a motion, support, and roll call of vote. I did provide the Planning Commission with its each quarter. We do the budget amendments. So I do have budget amendments listed in front of the Planning Commission, and at the council, we put that with general consent, but I'm more than happy to talk about the specifics. Yes. But they're common. We update when we get additional revenue that we estimated, as well as you'll see the property tax revenue, different contributions. I put a short narrative. We have solicited sponsorship for village events. That's run through the village, but we run it through the fiscal, if the events are downtown, through the DDA. That's listed. Liability insurance for that area had an increase there of $743 this year. The promotion and advertising, you'll see that expense. It's all connected to the Berg Day events downtown, and it's part of the funding from the Vicksburg Foundation, and et cetera. And I anticipate additional amendments coming in the third and fourth quarter as we're bringing in money under sponsorship, fundraising, and expending money for the Berg Day events. We are talking about next fiscal year. We'll move that to village funding through economic development. But
Any questions for staff on the amendments to the second quarter budget? I make a motion that we approve second quarter amendments to the DDA budget as presented. Motion on the floor by Schenkel. We have
This is-
support.
hold on, the chair can't make the motion.
Really?
Yep.
This is Member DeBalt. I motion that we make the amendments for the second quarter as submitted.
This is Member Bishop, I support.
All right, any further discussion from this body? All right, Member Cox, will you take a roll call vote, please?
Matt Schenkel,
Yes.
Colin Bailey,
Yes.
John DeBolt,
Yes.
Wendy Fields,
Yes.
Zach Bishop,
Yes.
Bill Cox is yes.
All right. Next item on our agenda is the survey handout for 24-25 budget prep.
I just, I had sent the planning commission all individually email. We are planning, it's, and we're refining it. We worked on it today. I think I added some additional stuff, but we'll be distributing as part of the 24-25 fiscal year budget prep with our utility billing, a pretty detailed, it's about a 90-question survey to all utility payment entities of the village, so our residents and businesses will receive a copy and have an opportunity to fill out that survey, which will compile that data to input into the fiscal year. It comes out of the 2023 Village Council strategic plans of having more opportunities for individuals within the village to have input. Also, we will have smaller surveys going out, starting with internal and external stakeholders beginning next Monday. About each week will be on a smaller scale, about 10-question surveys at a higher altitude as we begin this budget preparation for 24-25 and talking about items of CIP. So I encourage all of you as board members, your internal stakeholders, to fill that survey out. And then we will, in future meetings, present the data that's being returned on that.
When do you need that returned by?
No, on the, it's just FYI. You'll be looking for an email that it's sent out to you individually, and then it'll have an online component, and it should, if everything goes well, I'll be sending that out next Monday. But I just wanted you aware of part of the capturing of that data this year.
Great. All right, on to our village manager report.
Moving on, I think we update, we're in this building, which is exciting. This is our third governmental meeting inside the building. So as we move in, and I'm just really looking forward to this year. You should see the old municipal building start to come down on the 15th of this month, and then a temporary parking lot, gravel, will be put in place until the asphalt plants and we can finish the parking lot. And hopefully within early spring, we'll get started on the landscaping. We're right now hopeful that our public open house will take place May 18th to the first week of June, somewhere in there is our goals. So it's moving along. It is, as we sit right now, on time and under budget. So a lot of pressure on Ryan's crew to see if we can get that across the finish line that way. There you go. So the other is, you might have noticed on entryway into, it's been on our radar for a couple years, and it's nice to be in the position to make the investment. But the Legia Park farmhouse barn, we did demo the barn last week. So that was an unsafe structure, has been taken to the ground, and the company did very well. It was overseen by Frederick's Construction, and the lot completely cleaned up. I was out there today taking some photos. So we have, and then the last thing is moving forward with, by the end of the week, you should have contracts in place for all of the Berg Days music entertainment. We do have the food trucks secured, and then the next step will be the kids' activities, to the blow up type structures to ensure that we have a family-oriented and safe environment. So I do anticipate new picnic tables being part of the budget process to get a better, both in our parks and for the downtown events. But I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Did you cover the 150,
I was gonna say, you skipped over birthday.
the birthday party?
Yeah, it's going to be the largest half-year birthday celebration in the country, because I'm not sure if any municipality has a 151 and a half year birthday celebration, but we're certainly going to have one May 18th. We have our 2 bands under contract. They'll be announced. It is a Saturday all-day event with the streets will be shut down to pedestrian traffic and activities throughout the day, with more details to come, but the bands are under contract and moving forward.
Great. All right, we'll move on to member comments. If there are any, please go ahead and jump in. All right, hearing none, I will adjourn this meeting at 7:46. Thank you, everyone. Have a great week.